Welcome back, everybody, or perhaps welcome for the very first time. I don't know if you've ever been here. But anyway, my name is MrHurriicane, and today we have some more Madden 17 news to talk about. It is that Madden 17 news season, and as news comes out, I will be talking about it here, so hit that subscribe button if you are new around here. But today the topic at hand is defensive gaps and run fits. We talked about this a little bit in my first Madden 17 news video, that the run game was kind of the emphasis of the gameplay enhancements this year. I'm so excited to get to like franchise and stuff eventually, but these gameplay changes, I know we haven't seen them yet, but this information has me excited for what we are going to eventually see. So as usual, I am referencing an article here from EA Sports, and the link to that article is down below in the description if you want to follow along with me. But I've read through this article, and I'm very excited about everything that is in here. So we already know that coverage has been tweaked, they have redone zone coverage, and now we're talking about the gap fits and how run defense is going to be improved. So here we go. Of course, this has to begin with alignment. If you look at Madden 16 and past Maddens, you can look at plays, and if you know that a run is coming, you can see that certain alignments are at a weakness to different kinds of runs. If you want these players to do their jobs correctly, they have to start off aligned in the right place to begin with. So they have done a lot of stuff here. You can see what you're seeing right now. This screenshot is a cover 3 defense. You can see a single high safety there over the top. And this is against a gun trips formation. So you have 3 targets to the left, and you can see how the defense is aligned because of the imbalanced formation. The first feature to talk about here is called defensive auto flip. So in this screenshot, you see the Ravens have flipped their formation, and the Steelers have adjusted so that they can basically mirror what they had prior and not have anybody out of place. There are situations in past games where you can flip a formation and get a matchup you like because the defense doesn't always react properly. And I don't see this in the information in here, but I do hope that we are getting past the whole situation where you can have, like, the Saints have a ton of this in their playbook, or they at least did when they had Jimmy Graham. You could put Jimmy Graham isolated wide, and that would put a cornerback on him. For instance, the Saints could come out 1 tight end, 3 receivers, and you come out in the nickel defense, so 3 cornerbacks, 2 safeties. If Jimmy Graham lines up outside, he's probably going to have a cornerback on him, and that's going to mean a linebacker is forced to cover one of the receivers, and that's a big issue. You don't want to see that. I did a Panthers franchise, as you guys know, on Madden 15, and playing against the Saints twice, I saw plenty of that, and I did not like having to always adjust my formations because Jimmy Graham was screwing everything up. So now back to the article and flipping the formation. Let me take a quote from the article here. It's good stuff. The AI will automatically flip your defense when the offense flips. So it happens automatically. And this happens so that your defense aligns to the proper strength in relation to the offensive formation they are seeing after the huddle break. When your defense has been flipped, you will see visual feedback in the score HUD to tell you that your defense has been flipped, as well as what part of the defense was flipped, whether it's your entire defense, your coverage, or your front. And that is really exciting stuff there. And if you don't like having the AI control the way your defense flips, you can see here it's an option in the menu. You can just turn that off and you can flip whatever you want to flip yourself. And I will probably end up doing that once I learn the mechanic and want to have full control like I normally do. This next paragraph talks more about flipping. It's a lot more than just simply flipping the formation. There are a lot of things in here. So, the different ways the defense can be flipped vary based on the type of play you call. Each play type carries its own flip rules and will align to different strengths of the offense. When aligning to the run strength, the entire defense will align to the side of the offense with the most tight ends or fullbacks, or the heaviest side of the offense. When aligning to the pass strength, the entire defense will align to the side of the offense with the most eligible receivers. And lastly, when aligning in sub, the defensive front will align to the run strength, while the coverage will align to the pass strength. So, there are many different rules at place here, and you have base defenses such as 3-4, 4-3, and 46 that align to run strength. You have sub coverages like dime, nickel, and quarter with sub rules, and then you have sub blitz defenses that align to the pass strength. So, I'm really excited to see how this plays out, and especially just to help the AI play a smarter game against the user. I play most of my games against the AI being a franchise guy, so I want to see the most intelligent, yet fair, it has to be fair of course, but I want to see intelligent and skilled computer play, and it's getting better. And I'm really excited to see what the alignment system can do, because there are many situations where you can come out in a balanced formation. You have an ace look, for instance, a tight end plus a wide receiver on either side, and then the computer comes out and they overload one side, and you're just like, well, I'll go to where you're not really focused on, and I'll have an easier time running the football. So I think that the CPU alignment needs a lot of work, even going from 16 to 17, and I'm hoping we see a big defense, or a big difference in the defense. Big defense is cool too. For us offline players, I do think this would be a tremendous upgrade. I think that in terms of play calling and simple alignment and rules, that you could dramatically increase the difficulty and just the intelligence of CPU play without even touching anything else. So, we move on now. We have talked about alignment a good bit, and alignment's important, but now you have to execute the assignment. So run fits and defensive gaps, here we go. All defenders, both in the NFL and Madden 17, have a specific responsibility on each play. This includes gap integrity for run fit defenders and coverage responsibilities, plus run support for coverage defenders. Now, when this was first announced that gap play is going to be a big focus this year, I'm like, okay, will this be noticeable on the HUD in any way? And yes, it will. Here is a pre-snap menu of some gameplay, and you can see some new things we have not seen before on the defensive side. We see what gaps the players are responsible, where the linebackers are supposed to fill, and now there is a way to look at the gap rules for whether it's a run to the right or a run to the left. So there are two screenshots here, and what changes are the responsibilities of the free safety and then the left outside linebacker. And the C over the head of whichever screenshot you're looking at, the C means that they are responsible for the cutback. The F means that they are the force player and are supposed to be directing the running back to go back inside where everybody else is, and they can get a safer tackle and limit the yardage. So we have one guy who's containing the outside, one guy who's watching just in case there's a cutback. I love this stuff, and I think this is going to make outside runs dramatically different. They're very good on Madden 16. I think a lot of it has to do with just the way they attack each gap and how they handle their assignments and give up the outside too often. Now, one thing that is important to note here is that the gap assignments are dynamic. So before the snap, you see what they are, but after the snap, you don't know what's coming, so things could change, and they have to adjust their responsibilities based on what happens in front of them. So let me go into some of the information here. The number of run-fit defenders is completely dependent upon the specific play you call on defense. Defenders who are considered to be run-fit defenders are the players that are run-first players, and the art will show where their fit is, which will dynamically update to match the formation of the offense. These are the players generally inside the tackle box and or players who are critical to each specific play type. For example, in cover 4 plays, all the defenders in the box will show as run-fit defenders, plus the 2 deep safeties are run-first players within this scheme. Some defenders will not have a run-fit or gap because they are pass-first players, but will still react to the run and fill in as support players when they confirm it's not a pass play. The decisions you make as the play caller will have a big impact on your team's ability to stop the run, and this is hilarious here. You see someone comes out quarter 3 deep against a goal line defense, and of course this defense will be destroyed all the time. And you see sometimes on Madden 16 there are players who come out in weird like defensive back heavy formations because they're apparently good at stopping certain types of runs. I'm not sure which runs they are, because every time I see these defenses, I just use the runs I like, which are mostly power. I like having pulling guards in front of me. Oftentimes I have 2, and I don't know. I run the football well against those formations, so I'm not sure what they're stopping. But now it looks like they're going to be stopping nothing when it comes to the run game, as should be. So now we go on to post-snap. And like I mentioned before, the gap logic is able to dynamically update, and we are getting close to one of my favorite parts of this article, but here we go. Each defender has AI that allows him to update his gap and react to the war in the trenches to fill in the open lanes created by the blockers as the play develops. This AI relies heavily on the play recognition rating. This is going to be another rating that separates the good linebackers and just good defenders from the bad. We've seen this now, even with positions where in the past it was tough to do so. You want to see ratings matter, and you want to see the difference between bad, average, above average, good, elite. You want to see all the levels there. And I was really happy to see the differences between wide receivers this past year and secondary players. If you watch my series, you've seen good receivers, you've seen below average, you've seen the same thing in the secondary and how players I drafted have been significant upgrades with no slider changes. So now, talking about play recognition for Madden 17 and read and react assignments. So now, each player that is not blitzing will start the play in an assignment we call read and react. In here it says there is an animation where players will strafe laterally in a controlled state while they read the play. Even defenders who are on the line of scrimmage but not blitzing will use this assignment to read the play before attempting to make a play. The higher the player's play recognition rating is, the faster he'll be able to break out of his read and react assignment and fill the gap he's targeting. In combination with the ratings of the D-line as they engage the offensive line, a defense with higher cumulative ratings will be more successful at defending the run than lower rated defenses, and that's what we want to see, guys. So now you're going to see the difference between those linebackers. When you draft your rookie this year, you better make sure he's got good play recognition. Otherwise, he's not going to be making too many plays, it appears. And it's also going to bring more value to your slower, old school inside two-down linebackers. If they have good enough play recognition and they're strong tacklers, maybe you can look past 75 speed. So this is going to be very exciting to really see when gameplay comes out. I've loved all this information here. I'm like more excited about this than all the catch stuff last year. We all want to catch stuff for a long time. We got the wide receiver DB interactions and different kinds of catches, but I'm so excited about this information and what it could potentially do for like my franchise on Madden 17. I just love seeing the gameplay continue to improve, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this results in. So now we have moved past alignment, assignment. Let's talk about technique. They go into really good depth in this section as well. Definitely check out the article if you haven't. I'm not going to go word for word, and I haven't done word for word on everything in here. I'm trying to give you guys the important information. But there are new techniques that players are going to use to play their gap. And they are force, as I mentioned before, and cutback. There's also fill, jet, crack replace, and two gap. What I talked about last episode, are we going to see the difference between one gap and two gap defenses? We sure are. For the first time, two gap defense is in Madden. But we'll go in order here, and Force is up first. Like I mentioned prior, his job is to force the run back to the inside and allow his teammates to make the tackle. So he tries to play his gap in a way that ensures he doesn't get beat to the outside, and this is reflected by new Force-specific blocking animations. So when you want to stop the outside run in Madden 17, call a play with a Force player. Again, just like the defensive gaps, the play call matters. Not every defense has a Force player, keep that in mind. But I'm excited to see how this one technique is going to impact outside runs. By the way, they mention here the effectiveness of the Force player is based on the play recognition rating. So the higher it is, the faster he will break into his Force assignment. Once he is blocked, strength and block shed will determine his success versus the blocker. So I'm very, very excited about this, as I mentioned about 40 million times. Now we move on to the cutback. And the cutback defender is the inverse, so his job is to conservatively play the backside of a play so that he's in position if the ball carrier can take it away from play side. And the cutback player can be a defensive lineman, linebacker, or DB. It depends on the play called. That's great. The higher the rating, the more conservative he will play. So I'm guessing that if it's a low rating, maybe there's a good chance that they give up the cutback lane when it was their job to stop it in the first place. Next we have the fill, and those are the rest of the run-fit defenders who are not force, cutback, or blitzers. Their job is based on where they are positioned relative to the direction of the run. And so you can do play art for a run left or run right, but obviously you don't know what the play is going to be called, so you have to guess based on formation. Okay, this is the strong side. If they run here, here's how we're going to defend it. And even if you think that it's going to be a run to the left side, you can still check the right and be like, okay, if they go weak side, are we prepared for that? In here, it also points out how all fill players aren't actually treated the same. The fill player to the play side inside of the force player will look to attack his gap with outside leverage, similar to the force player. He does not want to get beat to the outside. The fill player inside of him will attack the gap with inside leverage and look to make the ball carrier make a decision, either cut back to the cutback player or run right into the forcer opposite fill player. Working together as a unit, the force, fill, and cutback players try to make a funnel to force the running back into the teeth of the defense. And again, play recognition is going to be extremely key here, but we have inside, outside techniques for fill linebackers. We have so much good stuff here. Moving on now to jet players who are blitzers. Simply put here, they aggressively attack their assigned gap. And obviously they're not doing any sort of read and reacting, they are just attacking, and that is their assignment. Next we have crack replace. The crack replace defender is a player whose primary job is to support the force player. He's not originally in the run fit and won't show play art as such, but he has a job to do regardless. When the force player gets blocked or cracked by a blocking receiver, this player must recognize and read the offense and take over the force assignment. So in most cases, I assume this is going to be a deep safety, but there are play calls where you are on an island and you won't have the benefit, as they point out here, of having a crack replace player. So you gotta be careful. If you're playing against the Vikings and you have Laquan Treadwell there on the outside, he's a good blocker. They toss it outside the Jerick McKinnon, he takes out your corner. You better have a safety left, otherwise Jets go into the house. Alright, 2-gap defense now. Can't wait to see this in play. But anyway, you have 2-gap defensive responsibilities where a defensive lineman has to cover both adjacent gaps. So he lines up over the head of a lineman. He's responsible for either side. This is going to really help separate your 3-4 defenses from your 4-3 defenses. And based on formation, of course, the fits can change, the gap assignments can change, but you're going to see a good difference between defenses that are designed to do different things, basically. And finally, to close this one up, it's been a long video, but there was a lot to talk about, and I'm excited about it. Blocking. To provide the proper balance for the ground war, many blocking improvements have been made as part of the Run Fits feature, with an emphasis on zone blocking AI and animations, with defenders now working to fill gaps created by the blockers. Outside zone and stretch plays look and feel more like their real-world counterparts, with the defense getting stretched laterally. This creates lane for the ball carrier to read and gaps for the run-fit defenders to fill. This should end up changing the way you do run on certain zone blocking runs. If it is a stretch to the right, you're waiting to see for that lane to open up and then one cut and go. And it could also separate the way that you look for a new running back in your franchise or something like that. So very excited to see the zone blocking in effect. And is there anything else in here? You will see new lateral moving blocks such as zone steps, reach blocks, double teams, cut blocks, and force blocks. And just like with everything else I've talked about today, I cannot wait to see how this looks in gameplay. And that's when it's time to judge it. I know I'm excited now, but it all depends on gameplay. But just this information here, obviously I've been pretty excited this whole video. I've wanted to see a lot of this stuff improved, and it looks like the run game is going to get a nice touch this year. And there's still more to talk about, but I'm going to be doing a new video for that, talking about the ball carrier special moves. So I'll have that one out today. Check that out, and check out the playlist and see everything I've talked about with Madden 17, although at this point, if you're watching this video new, this is my second video, so not really a whole lot I've talked about so far. But if you're watching this perhaps in a month or so, there's probably more videos out in this playlist, so check those out. And subscribe if you want to see more, and if you like, you know, this Madden 17 news content, or if you haven't checked out my other Madden content I post, check that out as well. A lot of good football stuff here, but that is it for today, guys. Cannot wait to see the run fits and gap assignments in action. But I'll see you guys next time. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave any feedback you have down below, and I will see you guys later. Have a great day.